Hmm. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to this meditation today. And I'm inside today. It is a rainy day here in northern New Mexico. It rained all last night. It's raining now. It's actually supposed to go all week long. So I kind of set myself up in my small room that I live in, and hopefully this will work for everybody. The sound will be good, and everything will function nicely nicely in here. So as you're joining, by all means, please say hello. Tell me where you're listening from. If I seem a bit bouncy, it's because I'm sitting on my yoga ball. I use a yoga ball for a desk chair. It really helps with the posture and the like. Those of you may be familiar with that. I also like to lean back on it and stretch, and I'll even play my if I can point to it over there, my tongue drum, sitting on the yoga ball as well. So hi Jay, hi Brian, great to have you guys here. So I titled this one. This is actually since the quarantine had started. The This is my 41st meditation that I've done, and now that I'm almost done setting up the whole EFT program and everything, I'll be packaging these up so you guys can download them. Um, so you'll actually be able to have access to these like as an audio, so that you can listen to these meditations. Because I know a lot of people have really gotten a lot out of them. The smoke here, no, nothing's on fire. This is just some incense I'm burning, and let's see if I can get it in there. And a candle I got going. It's just a nice little. I got a salt lamp here. I've got a little fountain over here. It's a very nice Zen-like space that I to work in. I guess the background is good enough. Yeah. So anyway, I call this one "Being in the World." Um, that Because it's a question I get all the time. Right? People do this non-dual inquiry, or a meditative inquiry, not necessarily non-dual, but can get to this beautiful place of feeling very quiet and peaceful, and then totally totally get discombobulated when they head back out into the world. So the operative word here is being, and the secondary word is world. The question is, who are you in the world? Not just I've got to be in the world. I don't want to go back out into the world. I react in the world. I invite people to look at that word I, right? Because who you take yourself to be, how you see yourself, is going to determine every single interaction you have. If you show up in any kind of circumstance whatsoever with this underlying idea that somehow I'm this limited, broken, struggling, although trying to be spiritual person, that's going to be that's going to filter everything, so that in fact is the world you're going to experience. You're going to experience it as a finite, limited, broken, trying to be spiritual person. So who you take yourself to be is the whole of this thing. So when we go into the meditation, I'll be taking you to who you actually are, right? Which is not mortal, which is not limited, which is not finite or bound. Right? Now, the thing that anybody who knows me says I probably say this 100 times a day. We mistake the conditioning of our nervous system for ourselves. It's that simple. We think that these reactive patterns and these repetitive patterns and these programmed responses in our nervous system is who we are. And so we struggle to try to overcome them or to hide them or to compensate for them. And they're not who you are. That is, your nervous system is like water. It'll take the shape of any container you put it in. If it's a nice fine Waterford crystal wine glass, it takes that nice shape, right? If it's a if it's a ball jar, right, for canning, it'll take that shape. If it's an old tire in a vacant lot, it'll take that shape. The nervous system is the most adaptive thing in the universe that we know of. Human beings have been successful because we are so adaptable. Right? That's also, by the way, why the cockroach is so successful, because they're even more adaptable than we are. Right? Adaptability is the key. But to have this level of adaptability with this level of intelligence is miraculous, absolutely miraculous. But take that completely adaptable nervous system. Now, this is its nature. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to direct it, right? You don't have to give it a checklist or set a strategy for it. It happens automatically. This is just the way it works. So you take that nervous system that's completely self-functioning, does not need any input from you, and you stick it in an environment, childhood environment. What's it going to do? It's going to take the shape of that container, right? Now, once it takes the shape of that container, it tends to want to stay there. And so even though you get older, you move out of the house, you're maintaining that container. Now, the only way for that adaptability to change, as long as the container remains the same, then no matter what you do, how much self-help or whatever kind of practices you do to improve it, it isn't going to improve. It may be a little bit better inside the container, but that boundary is still very much there. You have to dissolve the container. Now, what's the container? What's the essence of this container? The sense of identity, who I am. What starts out as just the nervous system in an environment, the tribe of origin and all that, right? It becomes, over time, the I am. I am this. Now again, this happens very naturally. Nobody's guilty of anything. Nobody's screwed up, right? This is simply the way it works because the sense of identity is also part of the adaptability of the nervous system. The creation of the ego, which is the modern way of putting it, is in fact the nervous system creating a sense of identity to hold this container in its shape, because to hold it in its shape guarantees survival because it worked. It's very simple. It's subtle, but it's very, very simple. As we get older, unless you run across some kind of genuine spiritual teaching, you never question that identity. You try to improve it. You make it spiritual, right? You even wear funny clothes and sit on a yoga ball and chant Om all day. But you're still referring to the container that's keeping everything at bay. So when we do these meditations, I take you out of the container. I take you out of the sense of identity. And what happens then is that the container begins to dissolve. A new way of being in the world begins to emerge. Right? But then when you enter into the world, you run into the difficulty that, you're in deep in meditation, everything is great, right? The heavens have parted, right? There's angels and rainbows and dolphins. Everything is wonderful. But the container is not just that. It's in the cells, it's in the body, it's in the emotions. The entire organism has conformed itself to this container. So when you step back out into the world again, your tension goes back out in the world, you have to interact with people, those programs and triggers are going to start reacting. And if you don't know that's what's happening, it's going to freak you out. You think, oh my God, this is terrible. I need to read another book or do another course, or go to another guru, find another guru, or do another retreat. And none of that is true. It's a simple misunderstanding. And it's funny because I've been saying the same thing for 40 years now, right? The moment I began to to discover it, and it's still amazing to me that it's this novel idea. But if you get it, it will explain every bit of behavior that you've struggled with, that you've dismissed yourself about, that you've diminished yourself about, that I don't like myself about. None of which has been you. You've been fighting inside the container. And what I'm going to do in this meditation is I'm going to take you out of the container. But then we're going to focus the attention enough so that when our attention goes back outside again, it's that unidentified you that walks out to be in the world. So many wonderful people here. Spain and Romania, Maryland, Monterey. Hi, Alessandra, Daryl, Andre, Rosario, John, Roberto. Hello, Roberto. Rosario, there are no words to express the gratitude of finding you always here with us. Well, I'm not always here, but, well, in a sense I am, yeah. My heart is certainly always with you. So, hola desde Madrid, B from Roberto, which means hello from Madrid. I do actually know a little Spanish. Ana Maria, hello, great to see you. Okay, everybody. Everyone, it's time to go be with the real you, the unidentified you, your true being. So, close your eyes. And take a couple of nice, slow, deep breaths, just to bring the attention back into the body. It's always a beautiful portal. It's a beautiful way of moving back inside. There are times over the last couple of days, there's been so much going on that I haven't been able to spontaneously go back to where I normally go. So I just started with the breath. Just kind of brought the attention in. Everything began to slow down and I could move deep into the space where I really am. The actual origin of everything. And then you just let your attention begin to drift more deeply back by noticing that your breath is being witnessed by something more subtle. This is a very profound recognition that most just pass right by. There's whatever you're experiencing, but there's also something very subtle that is having the experience. So you'll notice your breath going in and out, but notice that you are watching it. If the breath is in constant motions, constant in and out, but you, that is, aware of the breath, isn't moving. Now don't just say, oh yeah, isn't that interesting? Don't gloss over this. This is deeply significant. When you look at thoughts, as you're focusing on the breath and beginning to fall more deeply inward, thoughts will arise about the breath, maybe even pictures in the mind of you breathing. And notice that those thoughts are appearing to you. They're very, very evanescent. They just come and go very quickly. But you don't. Same as emotion. With emotion, you may be feeling very calm, very peaceful. You may be feeling excited. There may be something happening later today that your nervous system is getting ready for. There may be anxiousness. But no matter what it is that you're actually feeling emotionally, you are here watching it. It is appearing to you. You don't appear to it. It appears to you. And in fact, without you here to see it, there'd be no thought. There'd be no emotion. They don't exist independently of you. But you can see that while you remain as they come and go, you do exist independently from them. And then just notice the feeling of your body. This constant flow of sensation. You can, with your eyes closed, you can still feel that your hands feel different than your feet. You may notice that at the bottom of your feet there's kind of a tingling. Same thing in your hands. If you put your attention on any part of your body, you'll notice that sensation isn't static, it's a flow. It's almost like there's this kind of this energy that's just moving. It's because it is. And once again, notice that it's appearing to you. So now we've got thoughts coming and going. We've got emotions coming and going. We've got sensations flowing. And we have you. Something that isn't thought. You're not thinking you. If you were, you'd have to be somebody else thinking you. Although we often have an image of ourselves, body, mind, memories, beliefs, but those aren't actually you. Those are just you thinking about you. But this seeing, this perceiving of thought, emotion, and sensation, that's you. Whatever that is, separate from the thoughts about you, or the feelings about you, or the sensations that are the experience of the world, you are. Now see if you can, without referring back to thought or emotion, and thought includes all memories, every bit of the past, every bit of the future. And that future can be 10 minutes from now. Aspirations, what you'd like to see happening in the world. All of those are thoughts. Not bad or not good. It's not a judgment of them. It's just a seeing, a sober looking. See that no thought can actually really capture you. You are seeing them. And just notice that there is just this very subtle, unmistakable sense of your own being. It's just a sense. And in fact, if I ask you, do you exist? Are you? This is where you'd have to refer. Now, what if I was to tell you that this is the real you, the true I am? Without thought, it doesn't need a thought. You don't need a thought to experience your being. Your thought certainly needs you to have any kind of presence. You don't need to feel anything in particular, good or bad, in order for you to be. And you don't need any particular set of sensations or experiences or memories or ambitions in order to be. Those are all secondary. So this is pure you, prior to even your name, prior to any conditioning, because conditioning only applies to thought, emotion, and sensation. Conditioning is simply the way in which thought, emotion, and sensation are patterned. But you aren't patterned. Now this sense of being was there when you were a child. It's been the same. This is pure being. Now, the title of today's meditation was Being in the World. Now, if this is your being, and it is, then this is always what you are being in the world. But now I will tell you what's going to happen as we come out of the meditation and your attention again turns outward. The container, which doesn't exist for your being, will begin to appear again. And when it does, all the feelings and thoughts and emotions and sensations and all of it that goes with it will once again conform themselves to that container. And it will start generating thoughts of I. I am limited. I am old. I am young. I am smart. I'm not so smart. I'm male. I'm female. I'm Asian. I'm black. I'm Native American. All of those are thoughts. All of them make up the container. Who is the witness of the container? This is who you be in the world. Don't imagine that if you're just being that, you're just going to sit around chanting Om all day, or somehow you'll be dysfunctional. you'll find that the nervous system begins to respond incredibly creatively to every circumstance because it's no longer bound by the container, by the sense of I am that isn't you. So let's see if we can hold this. Actually, just remember that this is what you are, no matter what you think. You can't change what is. As you take another deep breath, and you let your attention once again turn outward and open your eyes. And the first thing you see is me sipping on, this is mint green tea today. With honey and coconut oil. I put coconut oil in coffee and everything. Coconut oil's the best. So, who didn't I say hello to? Oh, John from Pipestone, Minnesota. Hello, John. Good to have you. Roberto, Oladeste. Anna Maria P.S. says hello. Gregory. Oh my God, you've all learned what my real name is, what the G stands for. And Cheryl, hi GP, from Pennsylvania. Love the container analogy. It's a perfect analogy, isn't it? The nervous system creates a container, and it has to. It's so simple and yet so unbelievably brilliant how the nervous system actually works. And once you see how it works, you'll no longer mistake it for yourself, so you won't get stuck in the false sense of identity. But you'll also appreciate the beauty of life, the wonder of life. The whole purpose of life, by the way, is to give expression to the being that is beyond all conditioning. So we need the conditioning to function through, right? What is this, right? This conditioned energy. And all of it is, right? Including the tea that's inside of it, which I'm totally enjoying. So conditioning isn't a problem, right? We have to have condition. All form is conditioned energy. But you are not conditioned energy. You are the pure consciousness that animates that conditioned energy, which is not limited to it. But yet, the form, right, has its particular lifestyle. And for right now, consciousness is manifesting through this form, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I want to trade it, well, eventually. I mean, it is wearing out. So eventually I'm going to want a newer model. But nonetheless, you get the point, right? Hello, Barbara from Sweden. Kamal, good to see you. Hendrik, wonderful, in Germany. Roberto, much better with my anxiety. So glad to hear that. And you know, man, I really have to give you kudos that you stuck with it. You know, I have had people who haven't, right? Because I know it's not easy. That what I ask people to do by being with the most uncomfortable things isn't easy. But when you get to the other side and you find this sense of authority and peace, and the big difference is when you do it this way, right? The way you've been doing it, it's permanent. Right? There'll be some things will come up, but little by little you'll get so used to the way it works that when something big comes up, it won't knock you on your ass. You'll be very strong, and even loving towards it, because stuff does have to come up. You know, we carry a lot of stuff inside of us, and not only that, but Gabor Mate made the brilliant observation that the United States is a traumatized society. Right? The whole nature, the structure of our society, we have no safety net. We don't have health care. We don't have anything guaranteed. It's totally. I mean, that's fight or flight. We're traumatized. This country is traumatized. We have no leadership. We have nobody we can trust. We have police that are out of control. this is a traumatized country. And so you're not just feeling your own stuff coming up, it's the universal stuff that's coming up. Darrow was, I was guessing Gary. Nope, it's Gregory. Jay said, after I talked to you last Sunday about my dad, he came back home from work and I had to talk to him about a car sale. Halfway, the conversation went south and the whole evening was uncomfortable for everybody. I even thought of moving until I talked to my brother the next day. We had a small conversation about logical thinking and emotional thinking, and some of what he said made sense. Oh, that's a very good point. And then there's non-dual thinking, right? There's transcendent thinking, as Atmananda referred to it as higher reasoning, which goes beyond just the logical, and certainly beyond the emotional. Because for most people, their thinking is emotional. It just follows, and by emotions I mean conditioned patterns, right? So the thinking is following these conditioned patterns and trying to explain it and compensate for it. Logic can tend to kind of take a step back and take a look at it, but it's still bound by that sense of being a limited person. But higher reasoning goes beyond the container that logic is normally in. It uses logic because it's very, very precise, but it doesn't have the same origin or foundation. And so it can actually lead to freedom, to a non-dual sense of being. But then ultimately it has to sink into a sense of it. The reasoning can only take you so far. As I was doing during the meditation, it was logical. I was getting you to see that you're not your thoughts. Now that's logical. But then there's a point at which you can't actually see yourself. Now it's no longer logic. The mind has brought you to the place at which that's a boat you rode, and now you have to leave that boat behind because it won't take you any further than that. Roberto, where is I located? I always see it in my eyebrows, kind of. That's a great question, isn't it? Where is it located? If you're talking about the I that believes itself to be the body, then it's right. Then it's here. Right? But if you look at it as that sense of being, where is it? Well, it's here, but not here as in a location in space and time. It is simply the sense I am. I am here. I am now. Here and now, I am all the same thing. Consciousness is not localized. Our experience feels localized because what we are experiencing are a particular set of miscalled sensations. And so it appears as though we are experiencing things from inside this head. But you have a dream at night, you're in a different body, the experience is as if you're inside the head, but you're not, are you? I mean, all of it is being experienced subjectively. And people even have sometimes experiences of standing out here looking back at their body. We believe that consciousness is localized in a body, but it's not. It doesn't have a boundary. It's not located anywhere except here. Right? And the universe has no boundaries. It's nothing but here. Space, dimensions don't exist. Space doesn't exist to consciousness. Space always is referring to objects. If I don't have two objects, and I don't have space. Einstein even said that. Objects define space. Space doesn't exist without objects. And so at that point, it's all here. And even the word infinite becomes inadequate. It is boundless being, which simply is. This is a beautiful thing to just ponder. Look at the sense of I. Don't take my word for it. Just ponder that sense of I, and see if you can find a location for it. Yes, it will feel as if, that's why they call it the third eye. It feels like it's there, according to neurology, it's this little piece of flesh somewhere in the frontal lobe, although they've never really been able to identify a structure that they could say is actually conscious. That's because it isn't, because it's not there, right? Consciousness is no more in this body than the music is in the radio. It's not coming from there. It has nothing to do with it. At best, you could regard it as a receiver. But consciousness isn't here, right? That is, there's nothing but here, and there's nothing but now. Do you ever experience there? There is a word we made up about space, but the reference point is always what? Here. And where are you? Here. Where's here? Here. It's a wonderful thing to ponder, and the end result is you'll find that here begins to expand, so that everything is here. Everything is here, experienced here. Kamal, there's a disagreement between conditioning and direct experience. The power, however, is going to the experience now. I am so glad to hear that. Yes. What we, the only reason non-duality seems arcane and difficult is because it contradicts what we've all been taught to believe. It contradicts our belief about life. But then you look at your direct experience, and your direct experience contradicts those beliefs. And now we have a little a little tug of war go on inside. But because the mind's going, yeah, well, no, there's got to be something there. And I go, no, that which is aware of thought, emotion, and sensation is not a thing. It's formless. You are formless consciousness. Mind goes, yeah, nice. There's got to be something there, right? And that's the belief. And little by little, we take on more of the authority of our direct experience. And let's make no mistake, the authority you have for your direct experience has been undermined your entire life. You're not taught to trust your own experience in school. You're taught this is what it is, right? This is what it is, and you need to believe it. You're not taught that in religions, at least most religions, right? A few, Zen and Advaita, and there's a couple that do teach that kind of inquiry. But for the most part, religion says no. You must believe this. You're always deferring to an outside authority. So that's part of the container that we've been conditioned in. The cultural container in which our little container fits, right, has been defer to an authority of some sort, right? Well, there is no better authority for the nature of being than you, because you're being. Right? There's no better authority for what is answering the question, what is consciousness, than you, because it's what you are. You are conscious. And to study a structure in the brain and say, well, that's it. I mean, that's a secondary thing. Let's study it directly. I am consciousness. My experience is nothing but consciousness. Therefore, I am the best authority for studying it. I have way more authority for studying consciousness than somebody with 1 million letters after their name. They have no more authority than I do, because they have access to exactly the same thing, and they do not have access to my direct experience. Therefore, they cannot tell me anything about it. And little by little, you begin to gain this sense of authority that's like, whoa, I am the authority here, and I'm the only authority that matters. And this is where knowing, this is where the Vedantic side of non-dual inquiry is so powerful, because it doesn't let you get caught in your own delusions, because the mind can deceive itself. Right? That kind of precision that's constantly questioning and sorting out, the two-edged sword, is necessary as well, so that when we do, as that authority emerges, it's got real authority to it. Right? It isn't just a belief that we really like now, right? I've got a really spiritual belief that I like right now. But all those beliefs, all assumptions have been put on that chopping block, and they've been cut to pieces, and the ones that survive are trustworthy. So I'm so glad to see the sense of authority going to your own direct experience, because Nobody else has the authority over your life but you. Mary Sykes says, we are, so we all are existence itself appearing as persons. Yes. Simple as that. The consciousness that is hearing my words is the same consciousness that's speaking them. During the meditation, when we go to that place that simply is, right? It's looking at thought, emotion, and sensation, right? That is the consciousness. Because there's no person there, is there? The person is a thought. But if there's no thought there, there's no person. There's no form. There's no name. There's no past. There's no future. There's no beliefs. It's pure being. Well, isn't it kind of self-evident that going to that place, we all disappear into that same place? There's hundreds of big rivers around the world, and where do they all end up? And when you see them you don't actually go over the ocean and see, oh, there's the Nile River, swimming through the ocean. The Nile disappears, and there's nothing but the ocean. That doesn't mean the Nile isn't a beautiful thing in and of itself, but its destiny is the ocean, and it derived from the ocean. The water evaporates, goes out the mouth, comes down, and comes back to itself. It's always coming out of itself and back into itself. But the self is not the thoughts, which is obvious. The thoughts come and go, you don't. So that's the self. That's the only thing that's qualified for the name of I, right? Not the stuff that's coming and going, even though it uses the word I. I mean, the devil uses the word I. The ego uses the word I. Anybody can say I, right? But only the I is the I. Hope you get this. It's so simple. That's why it's hard to grasp. What was it? I think Walt Whitman, who said, the truth is simple. If it was complicated, everybody'd understand it. Michelangelo. What a great name. Hey, PB. Hey, sir. Roberto, if I try to understand with my brain, I get lost. I hope it works without that intellectual understanding. Yes. Can you feel it? Can you feel your own being? Start there. The intellect has its place, but it can only take you to here. There's just this sense of being, right? Now, notice that your sense of being doesn't need a name. It doesn't need an explanation, does it? You don't need to think it in order for it to be. It's just there. Now, that sense of being was there when you were 3, when you were 40. Don't know how old you are, right? It was just there. That sense of being is there in a cockroach, in a tree, in every sentient being. I suspect there's even a sense of being in a rock. Because the sense of being is all there is. So it doesn't need any explanation. It doesn't need any intellect. We use the intellect to cut through assumptions, right? So that we clear the deck. We raise the lot, right? So that we're not acting out something that isn't true and we're acting it out because we simply haven't scrutinized it. You bring scrutiny to it and go, okay, that's not really true, right? But what is true is not intellectual. You can't discover that through the intellect because it's not a concept. It is simply who you are. It is the experience of yourself you are having all the time. But it's a non-dual experience because you can't experience yourself like you experience, thoughts and emotions, sensations, the world and the like. That's a subject-object experience. This is a non-phenomenal experience. You just are and you know it. That requires no intellect. And just let that guide the intellect, and it'll just fix everything up just perfectly for you. Because the intellect has got its place. very, very powerful, obviously. It you know, the mass of people learning how to use intellect, well, that's in the West, they did it in the East forever, um, was what got us out of the Dark Ages, right? Just superstition and belief and burn them, they're a witch, right? That kind of stuff. I mean, it didn't do us a lot of good. So I understand people clinging to the science which freed us from that, but this is a step beyond even that. Roberta says, oh, Isabel. Hello, Isabel. Isabeli. Om GP Chiwichat. A lot of love and light from Poland. Stay home. Marissa, at some point I feel the pain and sorrow of others, or happiness as well. Where's the eye located? I picture my eye, kind of, when we meditate. Well, that's a classical way of meditating on the third eye, right? But it is a metaphor, right? Because the real I is what's doing the looking, right? You picture it between your eyes. Well, who's looking at that picture of it between your eyes? That's the true I, right? That's the true seer, right? And yes, the more sensitive you become, the more the intellect has been tamed, the more the more the container begins to dissolve. You find that everybody's just in their container, but the container's in the ocean, right? And you recognize that this thin little container around everybody is the same as it was around you. And yes, you can feel others' feelings, their happiness, their misery, their pain. You can get very, very sensitive to what's happening, to the point where if you're in some kind of a healing art, you can even spot where it came from, and the whole history will lay itself bare in front of you, because when your heart is full of love, you have access to the human heart. If it's not, you don't. That gate does not have access to just somebody trying to probe it, right, for nefarious reasons. And there are plenty of people trying to do that. So the eye, pay attention to the eye that is seeing the picture of it between your eyes when you meditate. Right? And it's very subtle. And go, oh wow, yeah, I picture it here, but wait a minute, I'm looking. Where am I looking from? Well, that place you're looking from is not located in space and time. So you can't locate it. It's not on a map. It is the map. Jay, the anxiety was tense for me with everybody's emotions involved. And I literally had to stay in my room and ask my wife to bring dinner to the room. Any decision making was difficult too. But now, everything is fine. It's okay. That's okay, right? You want to stay conscious and not reactive. And it would be better to hide in your room and have dinner brought to you by your wife, which is kind of a nice thing, right? Rather than react, right? That means conscious. To remain conscious doesn't mean the reactions aren't happening. It means you get strong enough that they don't take you over and pull you into unconsciousness, right? So don't be the least bit concerned when this stuff comes up. It does, and it will, right? And every time it does, at first it seems, oh God, why is it there again? But eventually it goes, oh great, here it is. Something new is coming up. Something else is being purified, and I'm getting stronger, right? If you're working out with weights, and so now you can, do biceps at 35 pounds, put on another 5. Right? Then you're straining. I was up to 45. Actually, I was all the way up to 50 before this whole quarantine thing happened. It really sucked. I was doing pretty good. But the gyms have just begun to open up right here in New Mexico. I'm anxious to get back, but I'm not in a big hurry because just the amount of rules and restrictions now and everything that has to take place, I'm not sure it'd be much of a pleasant workout, so I'll just do push-ups and stuff here. Anyway, Mary says, thank you, GP. I'm now seeing that it is all about me seeing that I'm my own authority and not anyone outside of me. Absolutely. The meditation brought me deeper into existence. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. And just remember that you're not really getting deeper into existence. You're recognizing the depth of the existence that has been you the entire time. There's not a you that's being brought into it, right? The you that's being brought into it is being seen by it. This is the revelation. You've never been anywhere else. This is you. The 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 all-seeing eye that has been witnessing the entire thing, including the conditioning, the identification, the problems, all of it. And even the spiritual seeking has been witnessed by what? By you. Consciousness. You're the conscious entity. Me? The mind? No, it's got to be, the mind's always looking for something, right? And we keep turning away from the mind to find what's been here the whole time that the mind can't see because it's not an object. It's not an object. You're not a thing. Things appear to thought. And the nervous system identifies itself with that thing. That creates the container. But you're not in the container. If you were, you couldn't see it. You're the ocean. It's fish dying of thirst in the ocean. You're the ocean. Wonderful, wonderful, Daryl. So it's not really a dream, is it? It's simply the absolute being. Yes, the dream and the dreamer are one. The dreamer is the dream, and the dreamer and the dream are both being beheld by the consciousness that isn't dreaming. But sure enjoying it, the dream. Experiencing a world, because this is how it tastes experience. But there's no real dreamer. If the dreamer was real, there'd be no waking up. Right? But the dreamer's in the dream. Ponder that. It'll take you far. Kamal, can a state of confusion arise while making a decision without unnecessary thoughts? Or why in a thoughtless state? No. Confusion is defined by contradicting thoughts. Right? There's a sense that I need to do something, which is being seen, right? And then there's the thoughts. I should do this, that, and all the reasoning and going. And some of that's legitimate. We have to plan a little bit. But the confusion comes because we don't know what to do. We want to take sides, right? And I always recommend people that, and they could notice the confusion. You're not confused, right? But within the nervous system, there are conflicting motivations. There's conflicting ideas. Oftentimes, anytime we want to do something new, which represents more freedom, there'll be a sense of safety that's not going to like it. And so this happens. And what we try to do is try to take sides. Right? This is what I want to do, and I'm going to try to suppress all this other stuff. What I say is, don't take sides. You need these two energies to reconcile, not to compete. And so you just step back here at the one watching it, and you let go of it. And you watch as the energy, you'll find that it will just eventually stabilize itself and find, and the confusion will disappear. Confusion is simply the mind trying to take sides, but neither side is a clear winner. Right? That's what confusion is. But you are not confused. You are the consciousness in which this whole thing is playing out. And if you stay there and not identify and grab in it and want to take sides, if you stay here as the peacemaker, the non-biased witness, the perfect mediator, you create a new container, the space in which this can turn into this. Jay, got to go for a run too. Could feel my body needing it. Excellent. Excellent, yes. I miss the gym. I miss the gym. Yeah, I like doing that with my body. Mary says, I just realized that about existence after I posted that. Thank you for confirming it. Oh, good. About that you are that, right? And this is the habit of the mind. You are that, but then the mind goes, oh, I am that. And then the mind forms a picture of what that is, right? But no matter what the mind forms, no matter what the picture is, you're always the one looking at it. So it can't be you. The best it can be is an approximation, a representation. Right? That's the best it will ever be. All right. I think we'll let it go for today. These keep going longer and longer and longer. It's like I'm doing satsang several times a week now. So anyway, join me for satsang tomorrow. The replay of the event I did with my friend Kelly on Wednesday is now available. I could put it up there. It's on that page. Where did it go? ABG. There it is. You can watch the replay. If you register, you'll get a download of it if you want to have it as an MP3, an audio download of it. And my offers are there about EFT, the whole new EFT thing I have going, which I haven't really formally launched yet. It's all available now. I've got to put more out about it. So that's all there for you. And tomorrow is satsang. So I'll be sending out an email about satsang tomorrow. So in the meantime, everyone, so wonderful to be with you once again. And until next time, love you all. Namaste.